Good morning. Welcome to BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged. We are rolling along right through August. I'm not sure if I'm happy to see these days go by or not. I don't know. If you watched the episode last week, I introduced the newest member to our Lang family. He's a 10-week-old little puppy, and he's a Maltese Shih Tzu Terrier mix. So I'm not quite sure how big he'll get, but I don't think he'll be as big as our lab, Raven. And Raven's been really nice with the little guy. She's been a really nice sister for him, and the boys just love him. And they ended up naming him Peanut. I guess that hey, whatever they like, that's great. I liked Baker and Boomer, but they didn't go for that. So last week, we had our educational seminar called Breaking Down the Silos Between Engineering and Property Management Teams. And the Education and Engineering Committee came together and had 3 sets of panelists, which consisted of a real estate manager and a chief engineer. So I thought I would have a bonus round with each set of panelists to see how well they work together. It was sort of a survey to see what kind of themes pop up in order to have a resilient team accomplishing goals for their owners. Last week, I spoke with my colleagues Angelique Wade and Josh Hartzell. And if you missed that episode, you can catch it on our YouTube channel and watch it there. For this episode, I'm talking with the team from Bank of America Plaza. Adam Bernhardt is the Vice President and Senior General Manager, and Billy Rowland is the Senior Chief Engineer. And here's how our conversation went. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged. And we have our next series coming here with Adam Bernhardt and Billy Rowland talking about relationships and how they communicate. And so we have Adam Bernhardt, like I mentioned, General Manager with JLL at Bank of America Plaza, and then Billy Rowland, Senior Chief Engineer with JLL as well on the team at Bank of America Plaza. So thank you guys so much for joining me and talking a little bit more about you two and letting me dissect how you guys communicate. So let's dive in. So how long have you two been working together?
It's been a little over 6 years now. Yep. So, well, only at Bank of America Plaza. That's where we met.
Okay, very good. So how has your professional relationship developed over those years?
You want to start?
I'll let you start.
Okay, so it's been great. You work with all kinds of different personalities and things in the industry, and so different people and respond or manage in different ways. And I think in a lot of ways, Billy and I are cut from the same cloth. And so that really helps us in understanding more of when we're coming from. If we get half interrupted in a sentence or something, our minds are already thinking of this is what they meant kind of thing. So it's really been fantastic. Billy's got a great manager's perspective on building operations and what it is that property management needs. And so he's already a step ahead of where I'm going to ask and go next lots of times. So for me, it's been wonderful.
And for me, when Adam came into the building and broke down the silos that we were actually working in with the previous management company. And we had more open communication, and that's what I'm accustomed to from the other properties that I've been at, and really created a team environment that makes it great for the entire staff to be able to learn and grow from. And as Adam said, I mean, it's almost like we can read each other's minds sometimes. Being cut from the same cloth is kind of what I was thinking earlier when I went through your questions, is we can almost finish each other's sentences sometimes.
That's great. That's so cool. So, just with any kind of relationship, you've got some disagreements. So how have you guys handled those disagreements, and who's really the one that's doing the most disagreeing? And sorry, there's so many questions to this one. Have you found that over the years, what each other is looking for? I mean, it kind of sounds like it since you're finishing each other's sentences. But yeah, how do you guys handle those?
Well, you want to go?
I think for disagreements, I don't think we've had many disagreements over the 6 years. I think both of us are very focused on serving the client, which is our tenant and our ownership. I think our focus is on what they need and how to get to that end result. We may discuss the process of how to get to that result or sit down and discuss why we want to do it a certain way. But as far as disagreements, I can't think of one off the top of my head where we had a project or something that we just absolutely disagreed on.
Yeah, I think about, there's times where you don't see things the same way the other person is, and you get maybe a little frustrated or something. We probably kick ourselves more than we kick the other person in those situations, because we're always looking on how do we help work better with our team. And so we're more frustrated at ourselves for not seeing something and having somebody else to have to point out, well, we can't do that until we do this, you big dummy. And so then I go, oh, okay, you're right. So just being open to feedback and responsiveness from somebody else of different perspective and understanding what's going on and what it's going to take to get something done. So, and being humble that, yeah, I don't know everything, and nobody else has a perspective to see everything all at once. Keeping that in mind helps us work through issues, as long as we're working through the issues. When he tells me he doesn't like my tie, which I hardly ever wear anymore, that gets a little personal. But other than that, that's kind of how we deal with it, is try to stay focused on the work.
And I think it's also trust and two-way communication. It's not a micromanage, this is the way that it has to be done. And I've seen Adam work that way with the staff up here, and that's the environment that we create in the engineering side, that, it's a two-way conversation. There's not one way to get to the end result, but why do we want to do it this way rather than this way? Those discussions, are always on the table to be had, because we want our staff to learn and be able to take positions within our organization, and work their way up the ladder. And I challenge my staff every day, come take my job, come go to the meetings with me, learn so that you can get there.
You totally answered my next question. I was going to ask you, and that's the trust. I think that's huge, that you both feel like you can say something and not feel like the person's just gonna be right on top of you and be like, no, my way or the highway, or kind of thing. And I love that. I think that's I'm sensing a theme. I'm going to see what happens with my next interview with the Collie Partners crew. There, I'm sure it'll be the same, because it's like teamwork makes the dream work, right? That's my favorite phrase, if you don't know. But anyway, so let me go to the next question then. As far as when you're going over projects, talking about for like budgets or something, are you negotiating with each other, or do you feel like you're trying to do it your way, or is it kind of like you're accommodating to each other, to what you're saying?
Yes, I would say it's all of that, in different areas, kind of thing, because you have to set an expectation. So if we're looking at a project, Billy's got to set the expectation in my mind of how long it's going to take to get the information to get to the next stage, kind of thing. So some of that is negotiation. Some of that is more collaboration of learning and looking at the project, because we're both going to learn as we go through this project. It's not like buying a pencil. We've got to go. It's obviously a bigger project or something that we're having to work out. It's not a routine thing, and so there'll be learning experiences along the way that's going to change things. And then at the same time, we have responsibilities. I've got to hold him accountable. He has to hold me accountable. So it's their way. No, we have to. This is the right way to do this project, Adam. We need to do this. And so he needs to feel comfortable pushing, just like it's my comfort in pushing at certain times too. So I think it's a mix, really, of all of it. Just as long as we are respectful in wherever we are with each other, then you can hold somebody accountable without being rude.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think at the end of the day is we're responsible and being held accountable by our ownership and our tenants, but along with the budget, or if we're looking at budgets, we have to look at it as we're going to present this to ownership. If we're going to make a recommendation, we have to be on the same page. We have to be comfortable with exactly what we're recommending, and not be wishy-washy or on the fence, because when we go to them, we want to, that is a project we want done. That's not a project that, you know, might need to be done. That is something that we're focused on, and we need to sell it at the end of the day. So it's a lot of making sure that we have the right information when we're ready to present that to ownership.
So going back to the beginning of when you guys started working together, did you, it doesn't sound like it was really hard for you guys to know what each other's expectations were. How did that come about, I guess, to where you are today? It kind of goes with my other question in the beginning, but I'm really just trying to figure out, you know, your communication to each other on what bar you set with each other.
So for me, Adam was the outsider coming in, because he's coming into a group that was established and had been here for a while. And I don't want to say it was the outsider, it was the unknown. What changes are there going to be? And setting the expectation up front is exactly what he did. He came in, sat down with the staff and said, this building does not run without you. You've been hired to do a job. You're very good at your job. That's why you're here and working on this asset. And I want to see you continue to do that and help show me the way and help me blend in so that I can help be a part of that process. And if there's changes to be made, that they'll probably be small. And that's exactly what it was. The expectation was set, and we went on directly from there. And, you know, everything matured and became to what it is today.
So when I came in, we talked about, you know, communication's key up front. And so I wanted to communicate first with the team and get to understand each one as an individual and let them understand who I am. And that, look, this is what makes me tick. These are my values. And this is what I'm going to bring as the basis of my decision making, is these kind of values. And so as I presented that, and then didn't just come in and say, oh, we're changing this, we're changing this, we're changing this, but tried to understand why things were the way they were. It helped us grow those relationships that we were just starting to foster and build trust with each other, that, yeah, I can see how the direction that we're starting to take relates back to those values, and I can then start to understand what's going to happen next, because it builds on itself, kind of thing. So it was relationships, communications, and then sharing those kind of values and the importance of the team.
Yeah.
Team focus. Yeah.
That's great. That's so cool. So I know this wasn't on your list, but it's something that I'm curious of. So the reason why I came up with all this is because I listened to Alan Alda, his podcast, and his whole thing is all about communication. But there was this one episode where Tina Fey had to listen to a quantum physicist and explain what quantum physics is. And so Alan asked Tina that, you know, whatever you don't understand, stop him, and then he'll have to rearrange how he says it. So pretty much in layman's terms, trying to break it down in layman's terms. So how did that, does that, you know, is that how you guys work? Like, is there ever a time, Adam, that you're just like, whoa, help, please change that up again?
I need repeat explanations sometimes, or reminders of, oh yeah, this is why we did this and we did this and that put us here, kind of thing, that kind of stuff. So yeah, sometimes I think I'm getting a little, I don't know, I'm losing it sometimes. There's just so much going on all the time. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not agreeing that you lose it all the time. I'm just saying, I totally agree that.
Yeah, not like that.
There's so much going on.
Again, losing it all the time.
No, I mean, it's just, there's a lot going on, and so it's hard for me to keep up with, especially as we get more technical in different things and how they're going to relate and things in the modern world. And So I love new systems and stuff, but sometimes I lose perspective, and so he has to point out, well, this is why we do this, and just remind me. As long as I see why he's telling me that's to my benefit, so I can help support the team better or make better decisions, I'm fine with it. And he's respectful enough that he doesn't just come up and say, "You big dummy, I just told you last week, this is what's going on." So it's the way we treat each other, I think, that helps.
And it's respect. I mean, at the end of the day, it's respecting the person that you work with. When you have that communication, is knowing your audience and how to use the layman's terms or to get technical. So it's really knowing your audience and treating each other with respect.
Yeah, he respectfully spoon feeds me sometimes.
Sometimes it's needed when there's so much going on. It's just like deer in headlights look of like, where are we at again? Tell me what? Well, so one more question that I'm also curious about. How many times do you guys meet, and what is the best way that you guys have communicated with each other?
Oh, how many times do we meet? So as a team, everyone, before COVID, we're meeting twice a week, all in the same room. Janitorial, security, engineering, parking, and then the management admin staff. And then on top of that, we would have meetings as needed per projects kind of stuff. And since then, we've gotten away from the face-to-face meetings. We work in shifts. We don't have a weekly video call or a bi-weekly video call. It's more focused on just tasks and what's happening at the time as to whether we're having meetings or not. So it's gotten away from, and I've seen some erosion of our culture a little bit because of that. But every week we think it's going to be over in another month, and so we can just kick the can down the road a little bit further. So we haven't been maybe as proactive as switching over to the meetings. We did try it once, and it went okay, but that was when it was back a novelty. Now we have our faces in so many different screens and stuff now that we haven't had the need, I don't think, as much. So it's mostly as needed kind of things, but still we talk daily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether it's on the phone or face to face, that's really where we like to have those, discussions. We'd rather than using email or Teams, even though we've gotten where we use Teams quite a bit since we're not at the office. Adam and I typically don't office on the same days. So I can't just walk by here and stop and have a conversation. I have to use Teams or email or even pick up the phone and have that conversation. But we just try not to, I try not to read things into emails that truly aren't there. I just try to read them as it's just black and white. And if I need more information or something, I pick up the phone and say, hey, let's have a conversation about this. And Adam does the exact same thing.
I love that. I think that's a really good reminder for us all to do that, to not, because we have been having to use different kinds of communication forms, and there's just some that we're not used to. And you're right, sometimes just picking up the phone is just the best thing to do. Well, I really appreciate you guys for your time and talking with me. I could talk with you guys all day long. I could throw beer to you guys. I can have a glass of wine. I could seriously talk about this all day long, but I won't do that to you guys. So thank you again. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Ta-da! Thanks again to Adam and Billy for taking the time to speak with me. I really enjoyed hearing how they work together, and I hope you did too. On to recaps and reminders. This week we had our August luncheon, which was sponsored by AMST Elevator Interiors and April Building Services. And we had Tammy Huddleston with DFW International Airport speak to us about what they're doing there, how things have improved. And I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed seeing the numbers, all the numbers that she gave us. It was impressive. They truly are a city of their own. They have their own fire department. And before that, we tried networking and answering trivia questions to kind of get everybody going before getting started. So our next luncheon will be September 22nd, which will be sponsored by Guard Texas. And we will hear from TC Broadnex, the city manager for the city of Dallas. And he'll give us an update on the state of the city and how things are going for them during COVID-19 and how they have responded to the civil unrest throughout the city. And today, our annual skeet tournament is going on right now. So next week, be on the lookout for who our winners will be, because I'll announce them then. And our next networking event will be our annual golf tournament, and it'll be held on Monday, September 28th at Brookhaven Country Club. Also, don't forget to purchase your new BOMA Greater Dallas merchandise, or order your polo shirt and hat today, or one or the other, or both, whatever. But the donations for that is, the funds will go to the BOMA Greater Dallas Political Action Committee. And don't forget that the donations made must be personal funds only. So make sure to get your order in by August 31st. Allied, listen up. The registration for the Allied Plus One event is open. You'll be taking a tour of the new ballpark in Arlington called Globe Life Field, just in case anybody was wondering. So sign up on our website now. Toby entrants, listen up. Learn tips and best practices from the BOMA International Awards Committee to help prepare for the 2021 Toby season. The awards committee made several changes to the Toby guidelines to make navigating Toby during COVID restrictions much easier and safer. The webinar will be held on August 26th at noon our time, and you can find the link in the This Week's Events email that was sent out on Monday. If anyone's interested in volunteering their time and getting involved with BOMA Greater Dallas, all you have to do is volunteer for one of our committees. So as the saying goes, what you put in is what you get out. Contact the BOMA Greater Dallas office and let them know that you're interested. Thank you all for joining me on another episode of BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged. Next week, I will talk with Sonia Ellis and Billy Kahn with Collie Partners and see how they communicate with each other. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep up the good work. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.